What's up, guys? It's a market update for Friday, April 3rd, 2020. I'm going to talk about jobs, the stock market possibly plunging another 20%, airlines, oil, and mortgage losses. So, and a little bit about what I'm working on and what I traded this week and what to expect in the coming weeks and possibly month, right? So, jobs. Basically, it doesn't take a rocket scientist guys to figure out that as people lose jobs, they're going to be spending less money. If they spend less money, then businesses are going to lose money, and then it's just a big circle, right? Pretty simple to understand that. As long as COVID-19 is still, spiraling out of control, and it's going to continue to devastate all sectors of the economy overall. Uh, we'll see what happens at the end of April for the jobs report, but I'm definitely expecting a higher number, and that's why I think a lot of economists and even people could see that if this thing continues, that we're going to need another stimulus package. It's not going to be enough for what we have. So, with that being said, with that news, intertwined in, some people are projecting that the stock market could go down to 15,000. The Dow Jones Industrial Average should go down to 15,000. That's another 20% drop from where we are. And if that happens from its highs, that means the stock market in 1 year could have declined 50%. I know those numbers are very staggering and hard to believe, but it's just the world we're in. And I don't think it's out of the realm of the possibility. It just all really depends on how long we let or how long this virus goes out of control. So one of the sectors hurt really bad this week was airlines, as most of them said they had to cancel 80 to 90% of bookings, and it's looking even worse. And it might even get to a point where they're just completely halted. And Berkshire Hathaway, if you guys know, Warren Buffett, he's a championed value investor. Basically, buy and hold. Right, when you see a good business and you get it at a right price, you're going to buy that business and you're going to hold it, and there's no point in selling it. So they trimmed 13 million shares in airlines, and they own 50 plus million share stake in Delta, and I forgot one other airline, but one of the airlines they have shaved off quite a significant amount of shares, and to me that sounds like red flags. Like, okay, if one of the most best investors is also selling out in this time and he's not buying at this time, then that's probably a clue, right? A blues clue, So, uh, with that being said, oil has been up and down. Airlines, oil, you need oil for airlines. It kind of goes head and head, but it's made headlines this week, and it's kind of been the story this week was oil, where you saw a huge rip in oil after Trump said he's going to do what he can to help American oil companies and sustain the price. Well, earlier today, Putin came out and said, "Hey, we're all willing to cut. Russia would be willing to cut oil if other participants also are able to cut production." And we talked about it earlier about product. I mean, guys, supply demand. If you guys, I'm sure you guys know, but the more of something you have and the less of something someone wants, the less valuable it is. It's really that simple. So there's a point called equilibrium where we all want to be in the economy and everything in our life where everything is just balanced, right? Equal, and then so get the point, right? So when someone's pumping a lot of oil, and we have a lot of oil in the world, and you got less people consuming the oil because they're staying home and being a good Samaritan, then that price of oil is naturally going to drop. And these people, OPEC and Russia included, it's not in their best interest to cut oil. Some of them, because they want to gain the market share. So when the demand comes back up, they're in first position to make more money out of it. But it is costing everybody money. So, let's see if that resolves. I think that would be the first step, and many steps to come after to resolve some issues. Because once we could get like a standard oil price, we could start basing things around that and off of that. And it's kind of weird for us every day. We're seeing it at the gas pump, like 25-cent jumps. It's like, I don't know, it feels weird, but that could bleed into the economy and other sectors. Like if oil continues to go down like crazy, and remember, hindsight, big picture, future thinking. If you have, it's not going to happen, but let's just say, let's say Chevron and Shell go under because they can't compete, or a bunch of these smaller companies can't go under. Okay, then let's say we come out of this coronavirus thing, we open up the economy, let's say in like June, all hypothetical here, but remember, bigger picture here. If we don't save the oil companies now all of a sudden the oil, no one wanted oil, everyone's staying home and everyone's partying and wants to go up, and now the supply it's still up, but then its supply is going to start shrinking as more people start consuming it. They're not going to be able to keep the supply high enough, and then what happens? We're going to have another huge shock in the economy, kind of like the '80s with the oil shock, where it's like now you can't move trucks, you can't move cars, you can't get to work without having to pay $6 or $7 a gallon at the gas pump. So in the long run, it's not in everyone's best interest to have extremely dirt price or extremely dirt cheap gas. What you want to have is the equilibrium. You want to have a fair price where it's like, okay, you're not going to get it for free, but you're paying it's livable. They're making money. You're being able to use the oil to go do the energy in a sense to go do what you need to do. Right? When you get these huge swings, that's when things can get really dangerous. And oil is kind of like the lifeblood of all economics, right? Because you need oil to move things. At the end of the day, no matter whatever it is you're selling, even if you have employees, whatever you have, it costs energy. Energy is a huge cost in it. So I'm really looking forward to seeing in the next coming weeks how this plays out. So if oil continues to stay cheap, then guys, there's another after effect. So when the economy does come back, that's going to cause another slump. If they could work something out, then that could help out now, and it can help out later for when we're ready to come back. That's a positive sign. They need to work something out. That's why it's important. Now mortgages. So no one's really talking about this, but there's about 50. There's an article out today that it's the first of the month. You got to pay your rent, right? And regardless if you own your own home, if you're renting out, you're in college, wherever your situation is, very few people have their houses completely paid off. Most people pay a payment, and mortgage rates mortgages here have taken a slump. They're estimating about $50 billion in losses, and no one's bailing them out. So this is essentially you owed money to the bank, and all of a sudden you said, "Hey, I'm not going to pay your $1,000 this month because I can't. I'm waiting on stimulus package and unemployment to come in. I got laid off from my job. What do you want me to do?" Okay, one time $50 billion hit spread out across all lenders. Still that's a lot of money, but it's not going to kill the company. It's going to hurt, but it's not going to kill anything. Now, you go 2, 3, 4 months, 5 months without paying anything, and no one steps in. You're talking about $250 billion. That's going to hurt a lot. Even the 50 billion, I'm not undermining it. I'm not saying, oh, it's not going to hurt, whatever. But I'm saying, is that going to make, like Wells Fargo file for bankruptcy? No, it's just going to be, and majority of the time, it's a setback in the financial system. So they're going to say, hey, pay your mortgage, right? Like add on a penalty, extend it out. They're going to be able to work it out. You're still going to be able to get that money back in a different way. But if this thing prolongs and you can't pay back, and then you go into a foreclosure setting, or it ends up being, nightmare flashback 2008, where it's like, it could head that way, because it all really depends on how many people can get enough money. Not like, the $1,200 guys, the check. The stimulus sorry. No, I'm not going to edit it out because this is live. No, but the stimulus is bringing the $1,200 that you're getting. Is that enough to sustain rent? And is that enough to sustain food in your mouth and basic costs that come up? We're going to find out. We're going to find out. The checks are going to come out in April, sometime this month. So in May, we'll see some kind of adjustment period. But banking is going to have to take this right on the chin. So if you worked for somebody and now you're not working for them, and you got a payment due, you got rent due, you're kind of caught in a limbo area. And the lender, me, being a landlord, I'm caught in limbo too, because I got a mortgage to pay. How much of this am I going to take where I'm like, holy cow, like I can't afford this anymore. Like it's going to bankrupt me. I shouldn't pay my mortgage either, because if I'm not getting money and I don't pay, then, we could do something like where Italy did, where they just suspended all payments, until further notice, I think, and all that means is it's just time is just gone. Like this chunk of time is just, hey, you don't tenants don't pay me, I don't pay my rent, it's whatever. But what about like me that has a few houses paid off? What the fuck? I'm just out of the money now. You know what I mean? Is there going to be or is that just going to be, hey, tough luck, whatever, eat it up? How much of a loss is that? So yeah, my loss of like whatever homes, that's a very small scale, but think of that across the whole United States and the world and the globe. So you got 2-3 months of rents not collected. Well, then that's 2-3 months of people that aren't going to be able to go out and purchase other things and do other things. How much does that affect the economy? So harping on it all again, guys, everything is just intertwined. Everything is connected. What you do does affect somebody else. It's not just a one-off thing, because we're in a global economy now. And as the economy gets bigger and bigger and bigger and everyone's contributing to it, one section can mess up a whole nother session. It's all, the supply chain, it's not just about physical goods too. There's also like a supply chain of money when it comes to it, right? Because those mortgages, guess who buys your mortgage sometimes? If it's not the bank like Wells Fargo that holds it, it's pension funds. Pension funds are the ones, and institutional investors. So if they're not getting the money because this person's not paying rent, well then how long can they hold off without giving their retirees money? So it's like I said, that's why Dow Jones, the stock market getting to 15,000 could be a very realistic possibility. I know it's crazy. I mean, in 1 year, the stock market goes from 30,000 to 15. It gets cut in half. Half the country's wealth gets cut down, a public wealth. But that's the name of the game, guys. That's the name of the market. That's why, markets are where you make your money, but real estate is where you get to actually hold your money. And that's the truth. But even now, you're seeing real estate's not all as protected as you say. Everything has a risk, right? So this week I traded just a couple of just traded Starbucks. I did trade Southwest, ticker was Love, LUV, and the Starbucks is SBUX, and then I traded Comcast. All three companies are great, outside of Southwest right now being killed, crushed. But Comcast I believe in very strongly. I have a very sizable size position long term, and I'm just gonna hold through. It doesn't make sense for tax purposes unless they fall another 20%. Then I'm like, and I think they're gonna fall another 30% from there. Then I might reevaluate that. But where things are going and everything, I think they're a very strong company. I think Starbucks is a very good strong company. And actually, the reason why I did the Starbucks short was because there was a Chinese counterpart. Dang, I forgot the name of the company, man. They're a pretty big company. They IPO'd. I just did an article on them too. Damn it. Well, anyways, they got caught up with falsifying documents. Their CFO and CEO could possibly be in trouble for it. And that stock plunged like 80% in one day. And I was thinking in my head, when I was watching that, I watched Starbucks shoot up like 6%. And I was like, well, the overall market's down and Starbucks went up. Green light, or light bulb turned on. Like, okay, I think the money going from there is going to a safer bet. But I don't think right now Starbucks could be valued at that because of the uncertainty. So I took a option out and shorted it, and it paid off. Like nothing crazy, guys. I'm still doing cheap videos. You know what I mean? I'd still do cheap videos even if I was a billionaire. But just a couple $100 I made on that one. And looking forward to this week, I'm just gonna continue to short. I think there's money to be made if you're shorting. I'm not making big bets, guys. Like this is just more for fun. It's like $500 bets, 500 and below. But it's a way for me to stay involved and see what's going on, and every day forces myself to pay attention. So, in the coming weeks, I'm really just focusing on like, let's see what oil does, and let's see the reports as they come out about how many people aren't paying mortgages and what's going on with that, because that could cause a ripple effect in our real estate thing. And let's see what happens with jobs going forward at the end of the month of April. And every day we're getting new news, and I think by the end of April we'll start getting a clearer picture, at least for the next couple of months. But there's going to be a lot of volatility, and that's just the state that we're in. Hey, I hope you guys learned something from this, and if you did, follow me, like, comment, subscribe, all that. And if you do me a favor, just DM this to one new friend. I'd appreciate it, trying to help the account grow organically. Have a good weekend.